Hi, everybody.
Hi.
How you doing? I'm Katie Morton.
And I'm Jennifer Palmer.
Together we are divinely guided. I'm cracking like a 13-year-old boy, and we're both intuitives, energy healers, spiritual teachers.
And every Thursday night, we try to go live around 7 o'clock to answer any questions you might have for your spirit guides.
I'm a little rusty.
We skipped a week.
We skipped 1 week.
Wait,
the wheels fall off the bus.
Yeah. All right.
We have 16 viewers, 17. Yeah.
All right. Bear with us for just a minute, guys. All right. I've got it going. You ready?
Totes my goat. Well, I got to log in, so.
Okay. Alyssa Baby Girl Harrison. I like that. Hello, ladies. How y'all? Any messages for me? We're doing quite well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not getting much yet, but what I keep hearing is mission, mission, mission. So usually when this comes forth, it's because it's something to do about you stepping more deeply into your mission. Whether you're in it yet or not, there's something more they want you to get about it. I don't think you've quite stepped into it, or if you think you have, you haven't seen the full splendor of it yet. I'm feeling confusion around it. And when we say mission, we mean it's not necessarily career. It could be, some of us have more personal missions that we come here to heal a lot of things personally, work through karma or work through certain relationship issues. A lot of us, and probably most, if not all of you that are watching us and are tuned into this kind of a thing, probably have bigger missions, but it's hard to know. But we all have at the very least personal missions. If you have a sense or a feeling that you're meant to do something more important than you probably are, or something bigger than you, if that makes sense. Not that any one thing is more important than another, but in your own life and experience, if it feels like there's something bigger, there probably is.
Yeah, and I'm also hearing that it's really hard to figure out right now because there's a lot of distractions. And we've been in this phase the last year has been pretty intense with the distractions, but the distractions have been amping up over a long period of time, over many years. And it's like, there is no better time than to figure it out. And there's always going to be something to pull our attention, especially lately and increasingly so. And we really need to carve out the time to get quiet and center and hear the inner voice, because we'll never, not never, but it can be really hard to figure out what your mission is, to really get in touch and get in tune with it when we're, it's like our head's on a swivel and
I just lost everybody.
Well, on my phone, I'm like trying to bring up Restream so that I can log in, and it's not letting me. So third option is
chat. All right, we're going to have to do it from there. Sorry, guys. I hit refresh by accident, and it deleted a whole bunch of messages that we had on here.
And I'm not logged in because for some reason, my email's not working. So that's...
Speaking
of distractions, you guys, this is a perfect example. There's always going to be something to distract us. And so, and I feel like this is everybody, and this is, it's important for everyone to make sure you're fully on track with your soul's mission. And if you don't completely know what it is, to figure it out. And in order to both stay on track with the soul's mission and or to figure it out, it does require some silence, some reflection, some alone time, with a journal and meditation, whatever it is you need to do to kind of get centered, so that those hunches and the brainstorming and the wisdom can reach you. Because when we're always, checking our phones, checking, this and that and the news, it's like, it's just never gonna, you could just delay it your entire life, basically. And you don't want to do that.
Yeah. And also too, what's coming with this, and we have this conversation a lot. We've done some videos on it, but if you have a scale of 0 to 10, and on the 0 side of it is operating more from ego base, and then 10 is operating more from like the soul, the person you are inside, your mission, basically. Most people are operating around a 0 to a 1. Most people think they're operating at a much more spiritual level when they're spiritual, but they're not necessarily. They're still coming from a more egoic space. And so part of the goal when you're coming into your mission is to realize where you're operating from. And some of the key things that you can look at within yourself would be, are you in fear? Are you caring about what other people think? Do you feel like you need to impress or earn or earn love, earn respect, or whatever from other people? If you are, then you're probably not operating from the higher space. So that's part of it too. And part of going within, like Katie was saying, I think this is for all of us really. Part of going within is to be able to connect more deeply to that inner soul part of you, because it's so easy to think you are when you aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that's it.
All right.
But yeah, you're going to have to scroll.
All right. I'm going to scroll up. All right. Liz Marsh says, hey, ladies, any career decision info from my guides tonight?
Let's see.
Okay. And that little noise, if you can hear it, is my dog chewing her rabbit toy peacefully in the corner.
I haven't gotten much yet, but the first thing I saw were dollar signs. I do feel like it's an increase in money in some way, or at least more security in some way with money.
And I'm hearing right up on that, though, and they were sort of bringing this stone to my attention of like reading it from the heart. So what I was seeing was that it was like the path in the wood. There was like 2 paths you could take. And what I was getting is when you make this decision, again, it's about centering and really sort of feeling into it and not relying so much. We can get analytical, right? And we can make this big list of like why we want this one and why we don't want that one. And we can kind of churn on it or get too much in our heads about it. And they're saying that this is more of a heart-based decision. And I feel like you might already know what the decision should be. And it does feel like go with your gut, your intuition, your instinct. Because sometimes when it comes to these decisions, we could make a decision that it might seem completely irrational to other people, but we might feel called to it. Sometimes there's this, I don't know, it's like a yearning that just makes us feel like we must do this. And then, but it can just look like a strange choice to other people. And so really, I think learning to shut out, what it might look like. So some of the more egoic concerns that aren't as important or weighty, and go with the heart.
Yeah, the only thing I saw that I think adds very nicely to this is I saw a dirt road, like a path.
Yeah,
It was more like a walkway.
Okay.
And there was a veer off to the left, which felt okay. It felt good. And then there was a later on, like not far though, a veer off to the right. And what I felt with that image, and I can only tell you what I felt, but always trust your own gut and instinct. But what I felt was whatever the second option is, it was like a little bit further into the path. And all of a sudden, like, that's like something that will really feel great. Like this is good. This is great, whatever this is. But I can just tell you how it felt to me. So if it's something that comes along, it's not a right or a wrong per se. It's just one's good and one's better. But it did feel like 2 options. Maybe 3 actually, is what I'm hearing. I think that's all I'm getting. I'm not really getting anything else.
I think
I'm
that's it.
trying to hear, like,
Yeah,
anything
sometimes
else?
with these things, it's like we want to be told what to do, and
Yeah.
that's not what we're here for. It's your life,
Yeah, always.
Yeah. I
All
mean, we
right.
can sometimes warn people all the way if something's like really no.
I know, right? But even then, it's your choice.
Yeah, right. But sometimes it can come through strongly, but this really doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
Okay, Shawnee Nicole Drake. Hello, ladies. Any messages from my angels tonight? Okay.
I don't know what this means yet, but I saw what I think was you doing like a robot dance. It was really kind of fun. Um, Almost like a moonwalk with it too. It was kind of funny. Now I'm seeing like a bouquet of flowers, but it reminds me of the way it came out. Like with a magic trick, they pull it out of something and then the flowers go ding like that, and they kind of open up into like a bouquet. That's what I saw. So maybe something to do with magic or appearances of things. And then someone just said the time is now. What are you getting? I know it's kind of all over the place. I don't know.
So there's this scene towards the end of the movie Ghostbusters when it's like all heck is breaking loose and all the spirits are flying
Yeah.
around. And there's this song that they play. It's just like a few words and it says there's magic, magic, magic. It kind of repeats. And they show these sort of, there was like, I guess in the movie, it was like spirits or energy moving through the air. And it said it's magic, 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 or there's magic. So what?
So what else we can get?
I think this has to do with the ascension, and it is that period of time right now where it's like the veil's really thin. There's a lot of activity. It is time for like all hands on deck and for all souls to make the choice between service to self and service to others. You want to be service to others. That's the right choice. As far as we're concerned, no judgment, but also no bueno, I think, to go service to self.
Yeah, I'm also getting, I went back to the robot, so I was trying to feel more into that. And what I think I'm getting with that is, that life has felt very prescriptive, like you're told what to do, and these are the things, this is what's expected. You raise your arm, you do this thing, and this is what happens. And with the idea of it dancing, it just feels like a breaking free of the roboticness, if that makes sense. And then when you bring in the flowers and the idea of magic and spirituality, I think what your guides are trying to say with this, because it's all just been pictures for me and feeling, I think what they're trying to say with this is that you're kind of breaking free of the programming of what's been expected of you. Maybe it's in a specific relationship, or maybe it's your whole life, I'm not sure, but it feels like a breaking free, and that there is, it's almost like like Katie likes to say, take the lid off and imagine like what can life be, and allow that to come through, that magic within you and without you, to come through and really be a part of this creation that you're trying to bring forth, even if you don't know what that is yet. It's almost like, because you're so used to the programming, it's almost like you don't even know what's possible.
Yeah, I just heard let it flow. Your guides do work in pictures a lot. I saw an energy rush coming in through the crown chakra and coming out the heart, but it was like a blast and it was very fast moving. It feels like letting go of the feeling of restraint, of resistance, and just trying to get in motion and
think big. Yeah. I think that's true for a lot of us, allow ourselves to think bigger than what we are currently experiencing and what we can even really truly imagine.
Yeah. Stop holding ourselves back.
Yeah.
Yo, yo. Okay. Amy,
Amy.
Moni,
Monet, Monet.
thank
I'm sure
you.
you've heard that so many times.
Come out. Okay. Hi, ladies. Any messages for me? Thank you. Okay.
So I'm getting a sense of, I saw an image. I'll just tell you what I saw. Like at first it was like a really quick image of like a horse rearing up. So that like tells me it's like kind of scared of something. And then I saw like a person go like stop, like resistance, like major resistance. So I think it has something to do with fear and resistance.
I just heard uncertainty for the future. So I just heard that song, That's Life. It's like, that's life. And it's, I think, kind of a bummer of a song, but the point is not that, but it's just that, all right, this is not a doomsday talk, but it's just to say life is inherently uncertain. It was uncertain before the year 2020, and before it's always been uncertain. And so, one of the follies of humans is that we crave that feeling of certainty and
Mm-hmm.
stability and knowing what's around the corner. And there's nothing like 2020 to teach you that, like, nobody knows what's around the corner, but that's okay. And it's about faith. It's about having trust that, as my guides always say, all is well and all will be well, no matter what it looks like on the outside. And so anytime that we feel panicked and really in fear about what might happen, here is where your stability and your certainty is. It's inside you. That's the only place it's ever been, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Even in more peaceful, calm times, things, people can lose job, everybody dies at some point, there's like all kinds of things. Trees can fall on you. I don't know. I just say this is not a doomsday talk. But the point is, part of our job at this time is we can find joy, we can find inner peace. If you are stable internally, it doesn't matter what's going on outside of you. We don't have to live in fear. Because if you think about when times are really stable and good, we all know some people who they're always in a catastrophic internal state. Like everything can look perfect to them and to everyone else outside, but they're still panicked. They're very anxious. And, the flip side is also true. We know with some people where it can look like their life is over and they're just like,
Whatever.
God is my rock and they'll always be fine. So you want to be like the second person. In good times and bad times, you're always fine. Like everything is really, really fine. If you close your eyes and you're not worried about the future and you're not regretting the past and you're just in the present moment, everything is always fine. It just is.
Well, to be clear, though, that doesn't mean to stuff emotions.
Mm.
You really have to deal with those emotions. You have to heal what's behind it, come at it from a different space and be more of the observer of what's happening instead of in the weeds of it all as much as you can. And, being human, we all do it. At least most people. I don't know. I'm sure there are some people who maybe don't, but most people at some point in time, they have their limit and they will come back down into the weeds. But then you just need to look at why. What is it that you're fearing? What are you angry about? What are you sad about? Whatever it is, allow that to come up to be healed, but at the same time, be the observer of it and try to find a higher space to approach it and not in a doomsday space. Because really, every challenge that we go through is meant to be a catalyst. We are meant to utilize these challenges for our growth and ascension. And it's been a hard few years for many,
Yeah.
but it's good and it's important and it's the time of the ascension. And like we've said before, it's like we're being squeezed like a toothpaste tube, and all of our stuff that we still have to work on is coming out. whether you
Yeah.
wanted to or not.
Pretty much. Yeah. And so in the face of any given, let's say it is a calamity, right? Let's say something does happen that, is close to you and you have to figure it out. Let's say it's a very real problem. It's life that happens sometimes. If you can get into that observer space where you get out of the emotion of it, and if you can look at the issue from a very sort of a detached, practical standpoint, then you can see, is the emotion I'm having, is it like warranted or rational? Because sometimes we perceive something to be much more dire or much more worse than it is, and we get really stressed about it for no good reason. And in which case, like, sometimes we really do need to see a healer, for example, if we really just can't control the emotion and we don't really know why we're freaking out and we can't seem to get a handle on it. Sometimes we just need to look at the situation and be like, all right, well, there's something I can do about it. And once you take action, sometimes the negative emotions subside, because it's like, it was like a warning bell going on of like, well, things, they're not quite coming together the way I need them to. So maybe we need to course correct in the physical and actually take action steps. I believe, obviously, in being very woo-woo and very spiritual, but there is, a grounded reality here too, that sometimes we need to live in and work with. And sometimes we just need to roll up our sleeves and do what we got to do to get through. And that can sometimes just relieve all of the anxiety by just taking action to fix the thing. Sometimes that's all that's required. But either way, if you're freaking out and it's like you can't talk yourself out of it, and doing things to fix it doesn't fix it, then, sometimes a good energy healing session can blast it out of you.
Yeah. Okay.
Chrissy says,
Marie,
hello,
Chrissy Marie,
ladies.
yeah. And then Douglas Henniger.
Let's see. Douglas Henniger says, good evening. Any messages from Spirit for me? Thanks. Okay, Douglas.
What this means, and it might even be someone who's on the other side. I'm not sure, but I'm hearing the name Vince. I don't know if it means anything. So I'll just say it because I heard it. So I'm getting a sense of, and it's more of a feeling than, there was a little bit of a vision, but it was more of a feeling than a vision, which I know it's hard to describe, but it was this feeling of being studious, like being in school or learning something, cracking open a book, and for learning though, not for pleasure. I think it's something that your guides are wanting you to dive into. I don't feel like it's something you're already doing. It feels like it's something that they want you to dive into. I think it's in regards to spirituality. Maybe even more like the science side of spirituality. So I'm not sure if it's like more quantum information, quantum physics, or if it's sacred geometry or something like that. But it feels like it really activates both sides of the brain.
I was hearing quantum physics. Yeah, I feel like you'll enjoy it. There's some interesting videos on YouTube about it. And search different websites. I think, sometimes there's a crackdown on certain types of information, so it might be harder to find on mainstream channels, but just, go down some rabbit holes. But there are some lectures that I've seen by some, renowned universities and colleges giving lectures about quantum physics that are pretty interesting. Can be hard to follow, but interesting.
Yeah, hard to follow for me, for sure. It goes, ooh.
Yeah. Well, it's like you got to do some basic research before you watch those.
I also heard, you have a very curious mind and they want you to just allow that to take over for a bit and to dive in and just keep asking questions. A lot of us, we think we know the answers to things and we don't question anything nearly enough. And I think they want you to really dive into the question. Assume you know nothing and dive in and look for truth.
Okay, now I'm hearing the term quantum healing. So that's pretty interesting. Because if you think about, well, I don't know if you think about, we think about energy healing and how, distance energy healing works. There have been studies that have proven that you get results. The scientific community has been baffled by that. But quantum physics can be a way to explain how and why distance energy healing works. And quantum healing is also a type of energy healing. I don't know, all things quantum.
There's actually a book about that. I have it somewhere.
Cool.
It teaches you how to do it. It's pretty interesting.
Neato.
All right. Carrie Goulet.
Yeah. She says, hi, ladies. Good to see you. I would say good to see you too, but I can't see you. Any messages from my guides today? Okay.
I don't know what this means. I can only tell you what I'm seeing. But I saw what looked like a horse, and it was like the horse was dancing. There's a lot of dancing tonight. And then I heard prancing pony. And what was interesting about that is because Whitney in our cafe today, she was playing Lord of the Rings theme song. And that was prancing pony was in Lord of the Rings. So I don't know what that means, but I'm putting it out there because I'm being shown it. So, gosh, I feel so vulnerable when I do that. I'm like prancing pony. All right.
Well, now you have to act it out.
That would be funny.
It would be funny. I'd pay good money to see that.
I'll show you later.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm hearing the word mission.
Yeah, I do feel like it's about here's the thing, when we're starting out as healers, and we can be a bit self-conscious, like we see how other people heal and they all have like different styles. And I used to say, like, we would do these group energy healings and I would look over at Jenn and she would be like the Swedish chef pulling things out of people. And like my specialty is more like, I'm just gonna like blast people. So I used to like compare myself. I was just like Hulk smash blast as like energy healer, and she had all this like finesse. And I used to like, I don't know, I had like some sort of like an envy of that. And it was like my guides had to sort of say, like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's like, you're and then, and sometimes I'm doing that. Like sometimes I'm sucking stuff out of people too. So sounds gross. It is. Anyway, so it's like the point is, don't worry what it looks like to anyone else. It's like really go within. And when you do energy healing, it all has to be just via the guidance. And I still find myself like, if I'm going to remove an entity, for example, and it's going to be some big exorcism type drama, and I'm like, oh God, it's embarrassing. I have to do this out loud. Sometimes you just do it.
And then they start speaking a different language. You're like, oh, hi, there you are.
Excellent. I'll pull out my high school Latin.
And get my bucket ready for when you throw up. It has happened, guys. It has happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, our point is, yeah, I mean, it hits me sometimes too, where I feel like self-conscious, but we just have to let it go. It's all ego. We just got to do the healing work and not be looking around at other people's style and comparing them and thinking, am I doing this right? Does it look right? What do I look like? Like, it's all for the highest good and for service. And we just have to set it aside.
I remember when I first got into energy healing, and I think I was trained in Reiki 1 or 2 or something. And I remember watching this video interview of this lady who worked with galactic beings, and she was doing all these crazy things. And then she was making all these crazy sounds like, and she's like doing these things and healing people. And I was like, it takes a lot of guts to do that. I don't have that. I can't do that. I'm just like, But I think what they're trying to say is, you're going to find your style and your expression of the energy healing that you're doing. It is artwork. It is your creation, and it's in connection with divine guidance. And it is, I'm literally hearing, it's like, it is right and left brain. It is both. And there is science to it. And then there's art to it. And then there's thought and there's consciousness. There's like all these different aspects when you're healing and you're bringing it all together. And, the expression, it is you, and then it's also not you, if that makes sense. It's bigger than you. And to not be afraid of stepping into that. I think that's it. I'm not getting anything else. All right. Next.
Alrighty. So Pearl Teeny Swertney says, with you tonight, anything from my guides?
Hey there,
Pearl.
lady. I'll just say, because I'm hearing it, it was kind of a masculine voice, says, life is good and God is great.
I just heard you've been doing a lot of good work on yourself and you're ascending nicely. But don't stop. Feels like go deeper and don't be afraid of the changes you're making. Sometimes when we get up that ascension spiral and then we get to a point where we think, can I just rest for a while or go back? And it's like, no, don't, keep going, go deeper, be fearless. And ask for help if there's something like you feel like you really need to do or say and you're struggling with it. And you can ask God for help. You can ask your guides for help. It doesn't always have to be to another person, although sometimes that helps too. I feel like you're struggling to figure something out, and it feels like don't give up on it.
When I keep hearing the word destiny, so I'm sitting here trying to figure, okay, what about destiny? What about destiny? So I think what they want me to say about this is, put the big crystal down.
It is a honking crystal.
So it doesn't like fall on the floor. I think what they're trying to say is, we all have this idea of our destiny, this idea of what we're supposed to do and when. And what they want you to think more in terms of is there is nothing that you can choose to do in this lifetime that is not a part of a path that you could choose. Some of it's better than others. There is a better path and a less good path for all of us. And they want us to think about in terms of there's the highest path, which is ultimately what we all really, really, really want to achieve, but it's also usually the most difficult path. And then there's higher paths, which are still pretty darn good. And then there's like, oh, well, okay, the more safe paths, where it's like, it's not great, but at least I don't have to suffer. There's no real challenge here. But then you get like the really worst paths, where things are really difficult because it's like you've definitely gone way off of your highest path and the universe is trying to show you, and so life kind of really falls apart. I don't feel like you're down here. But just, to give you an idea of the way they show it to me, we always should be asking for, show me what the higher or highest path is. You try to get as high as you can. Sometimes that highest path, though, is so darn difficult and full of catalyst to help us grow, that it's not always the easiest thing to choose. But we should be asking for that as much as possible. So whatever it is that you're kind of pondering about or thinking about, or maybe it's about to come to you, I'm not sure if you're there yet. But if you have choices or things, or if there's something you want to try to figure out to do, just ask your inner knowing, your inner self, your higher self, what is my highest path? What is the highest good for this? And, you'll probably know what it is, and it doesn't mean it'll be easy.
Awesome.
Okay. I guess that's it.
I think that's it. Okay. Hello, Diana Whitney. We love you
Hey
too.
there.
And Faye says hello. Hello. Let's see. Nicole Giglio.
Yep.
Okay. She says, hi, ladies. Any messages? Question mark, question mark.
Let's see.
I got to keep petting my dog.
Yeah, I know she keeps coming over. I feel like I just want to tell you that you're absolutely beautiful. And I don't think you give yourself enough credit for the beauty within. And I don't know if it's lack of confidence or just feeling not good enough in some way or not worthy enough, but they want you to know that you are. And I think it would be ideal, honestly. I'm feeling like healing would be really good for you for something. There must be something you're working through. And healing is a good thing, energy healing and consciousness work. I'm feeling something connected to your parents. I'm not sure what exactly it is. It feels like maybe there was just some struggle there. And it feels old to me, like maybe like when you were a teenager or something. It feels older. It doesn't feel like it's present time per se. Whatever it is, it needs to be healed or worked through. It's something from a while ago. And I'm not sure where this fits in, but I also want to say, like, when I first started trying to read you, I saw an image of this girl with dark hair. But I got this sense or this feeling like it was like back in time in like the late 80s, maybe early 90s, when like punk was kind of still around or something. So I don't know what that even means or what it's about, or if it's a person. It could even be a loved one or somebody on the other side. But I'm just bringing it forth because I wasn't able to figure out what it was. I'm hearing something, and I can't hear the whole thing, but it was life is, and then it was like kind of trailed off, and I couldn't quite tell what they were saying. But it's like this contemplation of the meaning of life, basically. That's kind of what I'm feeling with all of this. So I don't know if they want you to contemplate or if it feels like you have been contemplating. But this is an important thing to look into for yourself, like to really just, what am I here for? What is this about? I think I've told Katie before, I remember being a kid and sitting in the bathroom on the toilet and being like, I'm here. I'm in this weird place. What is this?
Yeah,
like,
I had some weird existential moments myself.
It was always on the toilet for me. So funny. I'm such a weird kid.
I think bathrooms are popular places for that. And I think because it's like when you're a kid, you're not alone a whole lot, except you know what I mean? Unless you're in the bathroom. And plus, I think there's something about the water, the fact you're surrounded by water. It's like energetically conducive to deep thoughts and soulful conversations.
Yeah, but I think they want you to just get really deep, contemplate your life and what you're here for, really what your mission is. Although I didn't hear the word mission, um, but usually that's kind of what it leads to.
Yeah, so what I was hearing is that you've always had a poor self-concept, and I think a lot of people do because we're so amazing. Like, according to our guides, we're all just like, "Oh my God, they're so cute, the little humans," and we're just like, "Really? I'm a walking train wreck. This is cute." Okay. They find all of us like you're magnificent, you're souls, you're a part of God. Like they regard us very highly, and not like very few people see themselves that way, and even worse, once you get on the spiritual path and then you see all the things you're really doing wrong, before you're awake, you're like, I'm pretty okay. I'm okay. Because your ego is like, yeah, you're okay. You're okay. Then once that starts getting shredded, you're like, am I okay? I don't know. I did a lot of wrong things. Now I see all the wrong things I did. And then your self-concept can take an even bigger hit. So I think they want you to really just move past all that and start seeing yourself in a much higher light. And when we go through that process of doing the soul work and really recognizing, we're not all perfect. We all are flawed and we do screw up. And so, what we do need to do is just integrate the whole mess. We need to look at all of ourselves, the good, bad, the ugly, honestly, and evaluate it, vow to change the things we can, accept the things about ourselves that we can't change, and just love the whole thing. It's like, what we tend to do is we sort of separate out pieces of ourselves that like we just really don't like or we really don't want to look at, and we pretend it's not there. And then we sort of self-abandon, and then we have a little bit of like self-hate going on. It's like, don't do that. Bring it all into the light. Look at it all. Love it all and massage it into something that's like, better, right? So it's not just blowing smoke up your butt and saying you're like so perfect when maybe there's things, we all have things we need to work on and that we could all do better. So, always striving to do better, doing better, but also loving yourself simultaneously.
So there's a really good exercise that you can do, and this is great for all of us. I'm telling you, it's really good, and it helps you just love yourself even more. But you look in the mirror and you say the Ho'oponopono prayer.
You're starting to say it like me. Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian prayer, but and I've seen it written in different order, so I don't know exactly how it was truly meant to be started. But I usually go, "I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you." I always start with "I love you," and because to me that's what feels best. So I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. But I've seen people do it in different order. So look in the mirror. And you can do this like to yourself, who you are on the inside, like Jennifer, I love you, and just like, until the point where you really get deep and you have to just keep saying it over and over and over again until you feel really deeply like you're touched, and you've opened up your heart. And that's when the good stuff happens. And then you can also do it like the person you're seeing in the mirror is someone you're upset with, someone you resent or something. You can really do that and just intend to have this cycle of energy of healing between you and that person, and it really clears things up very nicely. Or you can even do it like truly in person. Katie, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Okay.
Okay. And I love you too. And I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. You're welcome.
We're all
okay.
good.
You don't add to your welcome. I'm just being a goofball. It's okay.
Anyway, it's a really lovely thing to do, and it's very deep work if you allow it to be.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And I'm petting my dog down there, but somehow I wound up with a dog hair on my nose. That's impressive, dog. You shed like no other. Okay. Julie Heitzler says, "Hi, ladies. Missed you last week. Any messages for me?"
We missed you guys too.
Yeah.
I got hair up here too.
I know. It's like flying. Sorry. Petting her. She's shedding like crazy. It's a good time.
I can see it flying.
It's flying everywhere. I'm not doing anything.
Okay, Julie.
Got it.
You're like a squirrel.
I am. Squirrel. Dog. Hair. Ah.
So I'm definitely getting something about healing. And I think it's about receiving healing. Then I saw an image of a car. I'm not sure what that's about. So I don't know if maybe you had like a physical something or other. I'm not sure what this is. So I don't know if you've had a car accident or what, or maybe this is a loved one, because sometimes they show me their cars. You know, it's kind of weird. They
I've
show me their
noticed
cars.
that they don't do that
Yeah.
for me. I'm just, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I do feel like it's trauma related.
Yeah. So what I was kind of getting is you're like, I'm fine, I feel fine. There's maybe a little plastering over of it, and a fear of to do the healing work would sort of like tear it open, or it would be difficult, and you don't really want to go through that. You don't want to be re-traumatized. But the idea is that we don't have to tear it open and be re-traumatized. I think that can be a bit of a myth of the process. We can get things healed via some forms of energy healing, like Akashic records, past life, tree of life. There's certain types of healings you can do that can really heal it in a way where you don't even need to shed a tear. It can just, you don't have to necessarily tear it all up and dissect it. And sometimes also these things, they just need to get healed gently over time in layers. Sometimes they require, like 8 sessions or whatever it is. Sometimes it just takes more time. They just don't want you to fear the process, but it does feel like it's time to get going on it and to, I guess, do your best to talk yourself into it, but also knowing that you don't have to fear the process. It doesn't have to be painful. I think that's all I'm getting.
Yeah, that's all I'm getting too.
Okay. Faye. Hello, Faye Robbins.
Hey there.
Any messages for me from Spirit? Okay, Faye.
So I saw an image of you. Well, I think it was you anyway. From what I can see of your little Facebook image, that's what it looks like to me. But it was like an irritation, like something irritated you or frustrated you. There was, I don't want to come out and say anger, but there was like frustration. And that's important. Anytime we're frustrated or we're irritated or we're triggered in any kind of way, we really need to pay attention to that. That's showing us something about us in some way. And a lot of times we like to just project the whatever's behind it onto whatever's happening outside of us. And that's never going to help you in any way. I mean, it may be true, whatever it is that's irritating or causing triggers or whatever it is outside, yeah, that's happening. And maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, maybe you're understanding it correctly, maybe you're not. That doesn't even matter, really. Honestly, what really matters is coming in and asking, why am I so triggered? And that's hard. It's not the best, most fun thing to do, to look at it like that. But that is where you get the growth, and that's where it's really important. And quite honestly, all of us have, and they teach this, in the idea of the more wounded we are, the more distortions we have. But we all have distortions. We all don't see things 100% accurately. And it's important to understand that. So even when we're upset or we know that that person just did that thing or whatever it is, and it's triggered us in some way, made us feel unsafe or worried or fearful, whatever it is, it's still about us. It's always about us. And we need to go deeper within and figure out what that is. And maybe do some healing work or some consciousness work, or even just realize that maybe I'm not understanding it correctly. Just questioning it sometimes is all that's needed. And it kind of knocks it out and takes care of it. Anything?
Yeah. The other side of that too is just on the energetic and energy karma and energetic manifestation side of it too. When we sort of spout off and get into our emotions, we're more powerful than we really know. And so we can send energy out It can sort of
Mm-hmm.
like attack another person. You know, we don't mean to. We might just be like, oh, it's like
And we've
irritated.
all sent negative energy to people. So this isn't like,
Yeah,
this isn't
no, it's
news.
not calling
Yeah.
you out or anything like that. But it's like also just to be mindful of that, of doing the self, like really important to calm the emotions and to do this sort of the centering work and, you know, what Jen just said. But the other idea too is um, we can, if we get annoyed at someone and then we sort of lower our standards for them and we're like, now we're like, we thought they were up here, they disappoint us, and then our expectations drop, then they can start living into that. So it's important
Mm.
to have healthy boundaries and to not, you know, be a doormat and not put up with abuse or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like keep holding your standards and your expectations high, but in a way where you're healed and not triggered, so that if they don't meet them, it doesn't set you off. It's sort of like keep holding them up here because it holds the space for them to do better and to, you know, if you're like, oh, I knew you were gonna do. People don't really have motivation to do better or change, and plus it's the energy of it. We can sort of like
Mm.
keep them down when we, you know, don't expect good things, and then we're not going to get good things. And that's like for manifestation, that's like with anything, it's hard when things don't turn out the way we wanted them to, and we're like, this whole manifestation thing is BS, it's like it doesn't work, and then we slam it down and walk away. Well, it's like, well, now you're never going to get your stuff. Everybody calm down.
And then get back to work.
Right. Yeah, so it's just important to be mindful of our energy and how we project it and what we expect, and it's like expect the best, and then, you know, I don't want to say plan for the worst because that's kind of a bad saying, but it's like expect the best, and then when you don't get the best, it's like that's okay. Like, I'm just going to keep expecting the best because I'm healed and I have faith and I'm fine inside, and you do you, you know.
Yeah. I like it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
To me, anyway.
All right, great.
I hope it does for you, Faye.
Me too.
Okay.
Jess Mack says, good evening, ladies. Any messages for me? Okay, Jess.
So I just saw two visions. So I'm not sure exactly what it means yet, but maybe I think it's might feed into something that you're getting. But it was like this image of you were seated, and this flow of creative energy and all these different colors were like flowing through you and swirling around. And it was like a force of creation. And then I saw an image of, cards, like tarot cards or something, lined out on a table. Um,
You are creating your future. Sorry, I couldn't hold it in.
yeah, that's okay.
Whether you know it or not, whether you intend to or not. And I think, you know, that's for all of us. We're all always
Mhm.
creating our future with our thoughts, with our emotions, with our intentions. We're calling it in.
Our action and inaction too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whether we mean to or not. And, you know, we can think we're doing all the right things and even call in stuff that we don't want, because sometimes we have like subliminal fears or worries that are kind of going on subconscious. I mean, not subliminal, subconscious fears or worries that we're just like trying to repress or like not look at. It's like we need to learn to look at ourselves really honestly and do all of the processing work and to do all of the healing work to really and truly be master manifestors and to create our future in a way that is glorious. um, to just keep at it, and it feels like you're doing pretty great though. But I also heard go deeper. It's like you're doing great, but also go deeper. um, and they're bringing up this analogy they often bring to our friend Whitney when it comes to, dredging the past, right, for our junk or whatever, sometimes if something comes up from the past that we're just like, okay, well, that's not good for my vibe, I'm just going to slam the door on that one. And it's like, okay, well, there's a way to do it. And what they show me with Whitney is it's like ice skating, right? It's like sometimes we got to navigate the bumps on the ice. If you're on a lake, that's what they usually show me with her. She's like on a lake, she's ice skating, she's navigating the bumps. And sometimes you look down and you can see this like clear lake down below. And if you see something that you're just like, oh, well, like let's say, I don't know, maybe somebody was ice fishing and you need to like skate around the hole or something. It's like you got to acknowledge that it's there, but don't stop and take off your ice skates and start digging through the ice, right? Like sometimes people go way too far with the self work, and sometimes people ignore it altogether and then they fall in the hole in the ice and they're like, oh, what happened? And it's like, because you repressed everything and you didn't look at it. So it's the happy medium of navigating these things, but not without torching ourselves and like going too far with it.
Yeah, what I'm getting, and I kept losing it, and then they show it to me, and then I kept losing it. It's like because it's like a fleeting thing. What they're showing me is, a lot of us, we like to plan. I used to be a really big planner, and I would plan like 5 years out, like try to have a way, and I would see what I want in 5 years and figure out the way to it, and that would be my approach. Well, what I realized when I started my mission career and doing what I'm doing, that didn't work anymore. That just didn't work. And my ego wanted to see things happen a certain way and to fall into line the way my ego wanted it to be, and to do it in a way that appeased the ego. But the mission is soul-based. If you're approaching it from ego in any kind of way, you're not going to accomplish the soul mission. And what they were showing me is take off. And by ego, we mean not like, oh, I'm so good, or, I'm all that. It's just the persona runs the show as opposed to the soul. So it's not like, don't think of ego as a negative thing. It's just another perspective, basically. But they want all of us really to come from that soul space, to allow all that is, to not, you might have an idea of, or maybe you don't, it doesn't really matter. But if you do know, like, oh, I've got this passion, I want to be a healer, I want to do this or something, then yeah, go with that passion. But there are a lot of people who don't quite know, or they have lots of passions, they have lots of issues, that things they want to dive into, and they don't know where to start or how it all fits in. It doesn't matter. Like, just open up to all that is, ask for whatever's the highest good to show up in front of you when an opportunity or something you're magnetized towards shows up. Just tune in. Is this right or not? Okay, I trust it. Take the next step. But if you're approaching things and trying to make decisions based on the persona, it's not going in the direction that the soul, because oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes they're two different directions. And that creates confusion in a lot of people. And so get really clear about what does your persona want versus what does your soul want. And then usually it makes things more clear because you align more with the soul. So I think that's what they want you to do. They want you to think more in lines of the world is your oyster, and don't limit things at all, and just be open to whatever's next with the idea of, I want to live my life by my mission, my soul's purpose. Nothing else really matters. I want to do what I came here for. Show me what's next. And so all you need is the very next step. You don't need to see 5 years out in front of you. And that's really important. And I think that's all they have to say. And it's about 8:00.
It is about 8:00. So you guys, thank you for joining us this week.
If you guys are interested in soul growth and intuitive development and fun times and community, check out our soul growth group at divinelyguided.tv.
Yeah. Head on over there, check out the soul growth group, sign up. And we do 2 online meetings per month, and it's a good time.
Yeah. Good people too.
Yeah. And it will assist you with your mission and your ascension. And, that's great also. And your spiritual growth.
All righty.
All right. Well, we will see you at Soul Growth Group. And if not, we'll see you next
week.
Thursday, same time.
All right.
Bye,
Bye guys.
everybody.